said if General Bakshi had communicated his grievances or articulated his concerns, or if he does so, you will take action. So I assume that he has not brought it to your notice, sir. And if he has not brought it to your notice, you perhaps heard of it only from the media. Would you have preferred had he communicated his concerns to you directly?
You see, the system of communication, as I said, we have been communicating with each other. He has mentioned in his speech something when he spoke to the people that possibly there is something happening. But if he tells me that this is something happening, formally, and he says that, kindly help me out with this. That's what I meant, that if he says so formally, we will help him out and address the issue.
Colonel Bhatt.
Thank you. General, in view of what has happened in the last few months in the valley, and I think we were quite satisfied to see that post Uri and post the two mutilations, they were given a good retaliation, call it whatever you. But it's like a kutte ki dum, the Pakistan's aims and the separatist aims are not going to, they are going to seek any which way out. Now the latest is spreading videos on making good use of social media. Do you have, I think the army will have a role to play here. Because here it's not only the youth, it seems the public which is being subverted. Let's say a fresh way of it. Do you have anything? And alongside, in the northeast also there are some rumblings of groups which were supposed to have been, in a state of ceasefire. And it's maybe a matter of, I hope it doesn't happen, but it may be a matter of time that they strike again at the army. Both, any thoughts about, that you can share? Thank you.
Okay, firstly addressing the JNK part. You see, I think we need to wait and watch. If the DGMO said that we want a ceasefire and they are genuine about it, then I think we can go ahead. But if we find that things don't improve and that infiltration continues, then we reserve the right to operate in the manner in which we desire. So we will continue with that. But I think it's too premature to, there's been a new chief on that side. Let us see if he means genuinely to offer peace and tranquility on the border. Let's wait and watch. Let's take a call. Because as I said, we want also peace and tranquility. But at the same time, what you are saying, what is being spread in the hinterland and what is happening, that's what I said. Rather than being reactive, let's go proactive. What I meant by saying, identifying the new centers of gravity. That's what I meant by saying that rather than something happening and then we react to it, let us go proactively and see who's doing it, how is it happening, how can we cut this out from the people and prevent this happening and prevent this thing coming to the people. That is what we are looking at. So I said let us be proactive in that, and that is what I think Northern Command is now addressing this issue in right perspective to see where we need to move. That is important. As far as the Northeast is concerned, as you know, the main group, NSC and IM, in so-called talk mode, they are talking with the center. The NSC and K went across. They are the ones who are now creating some trouble. But at the same time, NSC and IM has made some forays into Manipur. Because they believe that the ceasefire and whatever is applicable to them is only in Nagaland, and that other things are not valid in Manipur. So they've been trying to push the things forward. And we are concerned about it. Issues are being addressed. The blockades were there, but the blockades have been opened. So long as the blockades are opened and the harmony will remain. But if the people in the valley of Imphal or Manipur start feeling the pinch because of the blockade, this could lead to escalation, because that will compel the Moitis and the other hill tribes who are living there, the Kuthis, to start retaliating against the Nagas. Our worry is that earlier the kind of incident that had happened in 1992-93, situation should not come down to that. And that again can happen if communication between the two sides breaks down. So I think all efforts are being made by the government to make sure that the communication channels are kept open with all the groups in the world.
Sir,
So that is being addressed and it is
a supplementary, sir.
No, please,
On
please,
the
on,
NIS
please, hang on, Sujan, please, hang on, thank you.
On the
Sanjay Singh.
NIS,
Are you fond of Naga meals? Then we'll have it together.
but are you saying they
Hang on, यार, Sujan, please.
सर
संजय सिंह।
मैं संजय सिंह हूँ, राष्ट्रीय सहारा न्यूज़पेपर से। जरूर मेरा सवाल ये है कि अग्रिम मोर्चे पर जो हमारे सैनिक तैनात हैं उन तक मोबाइल की पहुंच और 3G और 4G की पहुंच से क्या उनमें तनाव बढ़ रहा है? वो अपने परिवार के बराबर संपर्क में है, रोजमर्रा के जीवन से संपर्क में है, तो क्या ऐसा कोई अध्ययन आर्मी करा रही है?
हमने इस पे विचार किया है, इस पे स्टडीज भी की हैं। अब ऐसा है कि कम्युनिकेशन तो जवान के पास पहुंची है। पहले क्या था, एक एसटीडी बूथ होता था, आईएसडी बूथ, एसटीडी बूथ, जवान उसमें लाइन लगा के कभी कभी हफ्ते में घर में बात करता था। आजकल क्या होता है कि और पहले चिट्ठियां होती थी, एक हमारे को लाल चिट्ठी मिलती थी फील्ड एरिया में चिट्ठी लिखने के लिए, इस पर टिकट नहीं लगाना पड़ता था। हफ्ते में 4 जवान को 2 मिलती थी, अफसरों को भी लाल और एक हरे रंग के, उसमें आप चिट्ठियां लिखते थे। चिट्ठी घर में पहुंचती थी 15 दिन बाद, 15 दिन के बाद जवाब आता था। तो घर की जो तकलीफें हैं वो रियल टाइम में ऊपर नहीं पहुंचती थी। अभी क्या सिस्टम है, घर की जो तकलीफ है वो रियल टाइम जवान तक पहुंच रही है, और जवान जो अपनी ड्यूटी में तैनात है कई बार वो डिस्टर्ब हो जाता है। तो इस कारण से भी इफेक्ट हुआ है। ये हम मानने को तैयार हैं कि जिस तरह से कम्युनिकेशन का जो फैलाव हुआ है उससे जवान की मानसिक हालत पे कुछ असर पड़ा है। इसीलिए मैं कहता हूं कि बहुत जरूरी है कि ये बड़ी सिस्टम को हम कायम रखें, कम्युनिकेशन सिस्टम को न टूटने दें, ताकि जवान को अगर कोई तकलीफ होती है, उसको अगर कोई साथ में उसकी तकलीफ के साथ बातचीत करने वाला उसे कोई मिल जाए तो काफी हद तक उसकी तकलीफ सुलझ सकती है। लेकिन अगर उसमें कोई तकलीफ है और वो अगर मन ही मन उसको अपने मन में सोचता रहेगा तो वो कोई ऐसी कार्रवाई कर बैठेगा जो कि वो बाद में रिपेंट करता है कि मैंने ये कार्रवाई की। अक्सर मैंने देखा है जब भी कोई जवान कुछ कार्रवाई करता है बाद में वो माफी मांगता है कि सर उस समय मेरी हालत में संतुलन नहीं था और उस कारण से मैंने ये कार्रवाई कर दी, मैं ये करना नहीं चाह रहा था। इसलिए मैं कहता हूं अगर वो बड़ी सिस्टम और कम्युनिकेशन ठीक रहे तो ये कार्रवाई काफी हद तक सॉल्व हो सकती है। ये कार्रवाई नहीं होगी।
अभिषेक बल्लभ।
Abhishek Bhalla from DNA. Abhishek Bhalla from DNA newspaper. You just said that NSC and IM has been forays into Manipur. Now we all know that the government was working towards some kind of a peace accord with them. So do you see this as a setback to that?
No, there is no setback to the peace accord. Peace accord is with the Naga groups in Nagaland. But Nagas also reside in Manipur. In fact, the main groups come from the district of Ukhrul. Ukhrul is the main headquarters, I would say, of the NSC and IM. All the leadership comes from Ukhrul. But Ukhrul happens to be from Manipur. It's a district of Manipur. The northernmost district of Manipur is Ukhrul. And the Nagas who belong to this place are called Tangkhul Nagas. The Tangkhul Nagas of Manipur are not amongst the tribes of Nagaland. They don't accept them as the tribes of Nagaland. But they are there, but they are Nagas. And similarly you will find that the other areas of western Manipur also, there are Nagas who reside in this area. And that is how the demand for that greater Nagaland keeps coming in. But it is felt that, that they say that the ceasefire is only in Nagaland and that the talks are only applicable to Nagaland and that they can therefore carry out their activities in other areas which are outside the boundaries of Nagaland where the Nagas reside. So no, that is the only issue which is being addressed, but normally for the troops on ground and the government we understand that when it is with the Nagas, we understand that all the Naga tribes are in talks, including those who reside in the group. So there is no dichotomy in that. But sometimes these groups do take advantage of the fact that we are outside Nagaland and the talks are only for Nagaland and not Manipur. So this is sometimes, this kind of dichotomies keep coming up and these people take advantage of it. But there is no dichotomy in the minds of the government.
Colonel Shivdol Singh.
सर माय क्वेश्चन इज, अभी आपने कहा है कि उन ग्रुप्स तक आप पहुंचना चाहते हैं जो कश्मीर में यूथ को मिसगाइड कर रहे हैं। तो मेरा क्वेश्चन है सर कि पाकिस्तान के अंदर इंटर सर्विस कॉन्फ्लिक्ट रिलेशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो है पाकिस्तान आर्मी का, उसके अंदर एक साइकोलॉजिकल वारफेयर विंग भी है जो हमारे कंट्री तक उसकी पहुंच हो रही है। क्या भारतीय सेना भी साइकोलॉजिकल वारफेयर के बारे में सोच रही है सर?
जो मैंने आपको बताया, जो अगली कार्रवाई हो रही है और जो मैंने बताया कि नॉर्दर्न कमांड इसको एड्रेस कर रहा है, वो यही चीज है, साइकोलॉजिकल वॉरफेयर एंड प्रोटेक्शन मैनेजमेंट। इसके जरिए हम इस इशू को एड्रेस करते हैं।
रमेश तिवारी।
सर, रमेश तिवारी, नवभारत टाइम्स से। सर, क्या आप इस विचार से सहमत हैं कि सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक की कार्रवाई देश के तात्कालिक खतरे को ध्यान में रखकर सेना के द्वारा की गई कार्रवाई थी और इसका चुनावी लाभ के लिए राजनीतिक मंचों से इस्तेमाल नहीं किया जाना चाहिए?
इस पे मैं टिप्पणी नहीं करना चाहूंगा, क्योंकि ये जो कार्रवाई की गई थी ये सहमति के साथ की गई थी। इसमें जो है कार्रवाई करने वाली फौज थी, लेकिन दिशा निर्देशन देने वाली सरकार थी। तो उस पर मैं टिप्पणी नहीं करना चाहूंगा कि वैसे इसका फायदा उठाना चाहिए नहीं चाहिए। बट ये है कि आर्मी ने जो कार्रवाई करी है उसका जो लाभ चाहे फौज को मिला है या भारत सरकार को मिला है, हमें सिर्फ उस पर कार्रवाई करनी है।
नेश फिलिप।
Good afternoon, sir. This government has focused a lot on Nari Shakti, which was also the theme during the Republic Day parade. The Air Force has now got its first women combat fighters. The Navy is slowly changing its policy, but what about the Army? Are you open to induct women into the role of the into combat roles? And what are the challenges in?
Firstly, there is a misnomer that there are no women in combat. We have women in the engineers, we have women in Corps of Signals, we have women in Army Air Defense. So there are women in these things. Only those combat arms which go into frontline combat and get embroiled with the adversary in direct combat. We have as of now not yet inducted women into them because there are reasons for it. You have to see the society as a whole. I have said that if we induct women into the combat roles, they will have to share equal responsibilities as their other counterparts, as their male folk. Because equal opportunity must come with equal responsibility. So that means they will have to perform exactly the same task as the men folk perform. And I have said, today a large part of our combat arms, are operating in difficult desert terrain. Have you seen, like a tank? A tank has a crew of 3 people. Now what do they do when they go out? The tank just goes out. It's part of a troop, it's part of a squadron. But when they go out and they come into a harbor or they are in combat, they just sleep under the tank. They cook there. Their 3-man crew has a stove. They cook and they sleep under the tank. That's all they do. All they do is they put a ground sheet behind the tank and they sleep. And then when it's time to march on ahead, the ground sheet is rolled, the stove is switched off, the utensils are put back into the tank and you move ahead. There is no toilet facility, there is no separate accommodation given to them. So if all 3 in the tank, if there is 1 woman or 2 women and 1 male folk, if they are all willing to sleep under the tank, and if the women folk are willing to accept it. Similarly, when we go out in patrols, a patrol could be 20-day patrol, 25-day patrol. In Arunachal Pradesh, the longest patrol that goes on to the borders is a 35-day patrol. 35 days you are out. Now at night when you halt, all that happens is the blue sheet is pulled out and everybody sleeps under that together. And there's no toilet. Everybody picks up his bottle and he goes out, God knows where, and he returns after some time. If the women are willing to move out in that environment, I think the women folk themselves have to take a call. So what I'm saying is, rather than just thrusting it down there, we have to look at our society and see whether this is working. Once the women are willing to take this kind of a call, we will address this issue.
Mrs. Anup Maheri.
General Rawat, I'm from defenseaviationpost.com. My question is on the modernization of weapon systems and equipments. I mean, while it is commendable to see the pace at which Army has been engaging with the industry and the academia, my question is, what's the road ahead? I mean, while it's a continuous process and it's nice to hear plans of, indigenization or modernization through indigenization and winning Indian wars with Indian solutions, what's the way forward? Are we planning to prepare a blueprint wherein we are planning to have timelines fixed as to when we want what and then give it to the Ministry of Defense? Because what the industry is saying is that a lot of engagement is happening, but the order inflow isn't happening. So, what are your thoughts on this? And second is on the preparedness of DRDO towards meeting these requirements.
I think we've realized that our industry is capable. We've got a fairly sound industrial base in the country because we are seeing in all the other products that we are manufacturing, we are doing well. So we also realize that we have a very good academic intelligentsia that is there in the country. Our IITs and our engineering colleges, they are doing a good job. They do a wonderful job when they go abroad. So we found that we have equipment which we are either coming in through export. We have relied too heavily on DRDO in the past. So we now find that it is time to open this to competition within the industry. And with that, what we have done is a new thing that has happened. In fact, the Deputy Chief PNS has taken a lead on this. We've had meetings with the industry and the intelligentsia and the army working together. We have thrown open our equipment to them. We are saying it's no longer worthy while keeping the equipment in closed doors. Let's open to them. We've shown it to them. We say, can you come out with similar equipment? And this is what is being addressed. And can you therefore get in better technologies and manufacture this for us? Some with homegrown solutions, some with transfer of technology, which means, okay, you collaborate with some foreign companies, come in, collaborate, and then go in for a transfer of technology and manufacture. Because we are one of the largest importers of weapons and equipment and ammunition. We find that why not let our own industry benefit from it? So one is, of course, we will be able to support our industry and then also put some kind of competition on DRDO. They will now have to compete with the industry, which will, I think, give them the impetus to work and move faster and therefore look at everything in a more professional manner. So it will give an impetus to their own people to move on forward. The industry gets supported. And then what has happened is the industry will alone not make it. Maybe some of the components can be given to the small and medium-sized industries. So we will also encourage the small and medium-sized industries to thrive in our country. And that entire thing in synergy is what we are looking at. What you are saying, the orders not coming, I think they started. We are moving forward, the orders are moving. As I said, the next gun systems, the next weapon systems are all going to be indigenous. Even when we are now looking at the FICV and FRCV, which I said the future infantry combat vehicle and the future tank, it is going to go down the same way. I mean, it started with BrahMos. I mean, BrahMos is a similar thing. It is between Russia and India. And that kind of projection, so that we have some information. Where we don't have the technology, we get the technology from outside and then help our own industry develop. Where we have our own technology, let them go ahead and do it. And then let the DRDO and the other industry go along. So we've actually had 26 interactions in the last 6 to 8 months with the academia, the industry, and our own people getting involved. And finally, what we've done is we've raised a thing called the Army Design Bureau, which has been raised on 31st August last year. And this Army Design Bureau is going to become the interface between us and the industry. So we've now got an organization in place which will now, so that we are able to talk to the academia, talk to the industry, and with the requirements of the army. All that will be made. We are also planting some of our people with the IITs, so that the IIT, when those students do research, they can be encouraged to do research in areas which will benefit the industry. Possibly look at dual use technologies or dual use items which can be used by us and also be put to civilian use.
We'll take last 3 questions in very short time.
Because I don't know, people don't like to.
Ajit Dubey.
Anybody. We can continue talking, I think, after that.
Sir, Ajit, on your right, sir. Ajit Dubey from Mail Today, sir. Sir, you talked in detail about this buddy system, that how it was helping the functioning of the army. But then, sir, we have seen that even in our neighboring country, Pakistan has done away with this Hayek system or the Batman system.